The youth of June 16, 1976, are remembered by the weSizwe Youth League. Nhlamulondlela giving a prepared statement on behalf of former President Jacob Zuma, the leader of the MK party. Before we continue, please kindly hit on the subscribe button. According to him, the national unity government must be crushed before it finds its feet. An important day in South Africa's history is June 16th, the day the youth of 1976 were ruthlessly murdered by the apartheid regime for resisting its repressive policies, chief among them the Bantu Education Act. As members of the MKP, let's reject GNU and leave any firm controlled by white people. We oppose GNU and employment for white people. I'm leaving early tomorrow. Let us take care of you, Baba. The whole DNC, which is Ramaphosa's favorite project, is spitting on the suffering and graves of young people who were killed and subjected to severe torture by the violent National Party of Apartheid, which is still operating under the DA's name today. Like the youth of 1976, we, the Umkhonto weSizwe Youth League, are ardently opposing an unjust and unfair higher education system in South Africa. Today's youngsters are urged to maintain their radicalism and never give up on their future. The 1976 generation of Solomon Kalushi Malangu and several others were slaughtered, hung, and sold out by the independence struggle. History will hold them in low regard. The ANC-dominated governments of the past and present have marginalized the disadvantaged and defunded NSFAS, which has resulted to students being deregistered and unable to continue their education and build better futures for themselves and their families. In order to ensure that access is not restricted to those who can afford higher education, but also includes all young people who are consistently and continuously marginalized by South Africa's colonized education system, President Jacob Zuma declared free education in 2017, with the first phase set to take effect in 2018. Once again, one can anticipate that former President Jacob Zuma would be clear-cut on his opinions of the ANC's present leadership. He has also always stuck to his guns about President Cyril Ramaphosa. Zuma has never shied away from a confrontation in this area, and once again, he made a claim that many may have considered superfluous. Zuma emphasized in his speech to the country that the majority of people will not profit from the so-called government of national unity. He made it quite clear that he disapproves of the agreement reached by the ANC and the DA. But what stood out the most from his speech was when he asked South Africans to oppose the deal between the DA and the man he referred to as the puppet Ramaphosa. At this juncture, it is clear what former President Zuma thinks of President Ramaphosa. He makes no effort to hide his contempt. Even if Zuma's critiques of Ramaphosa are not new, they nonetheless generate a lot of discussion both in the public and in political circles. Many of Zuma's adherents think that his viewpoint is based on sincere concern for the welfare of the nation and the ANC. They contend that the ANC's core values and the goals of its members are jeopardized by Ramaphosa's leadership, which has been impacted by agreements with opposition parties. On the other hand, Zuma's detractors contend that his remarks are motivated more by resentment than by the good of the country. They contend that he is using his opposition to Ramaphosa as a ploy to draw attention away from his own legal troubles and scandals. According to these detractors, Zuma's rhetoric weakens attempts to stabilize the political climate in the nation and threatens national unity. Ultimately, it is unclear whether Zuma's statements will have a long-term effect on political dynamics or public opinion. What is certain, however, is that his vocal criticism of Ramaphosa only adds another level of nuance to the country's already complicated political landscape. His speech raised concerns about the future course of the nation's leadership by highlighting the profound splits both inside and outside of the ANC. Karl Niehaus, a member of parliament for the Economic Freedom Fighters, asked an ANC National Executive Committee member a tough question, seeking clarification on his earlier pledge to step down if the African National Congress formed a coalition with the Democratic Alliance. The ANC NEC member's commitment was emphasized by the EFF MP in a public statement, which also questioned his standing in the party at the time. "You promised, so have you left the ANC as of right now? The announcement hasn't reached me yet. Your silence is confusing me," the message said. "Or is there again a rationalization from you, that because I am not your generation I won't understand?" the EFF member said. Following the ANC and DA's recent government of national unity, which has generated a great deal of discussion and controversy, comes this examination.